Now I'll recognize the gentleman from Illinois' 10th Congressional District, Mr. Dold, for 5 minutes.
Well, I certainly want to thank the committee and Chairman Ross. Thank you for holding the hearing. Ranking Member Lynch, thank you. I'm here today to talk a little bit about the Congressional Integrity and Pension Forfeiture Act, which is really an expansion of a law that was signed, the Honest Leadership and Open Government Act, in 2007. And while you have a copy of my statement, what I thought I'd do is just summarize the gist of it and why we're putting forth this bipartisan piece of legislation. Right now, you have the ability to, if you are a felon, to receive a pension from the taxpayers of the United States. Congressional Research Service has said over the past 50 years that we've had members of Congress that have been convicted of at least 16 different felonies, including receiving illegal gratuities, bribery, conspiracy, extortion, income tax evasion, embezzlement, theft of public funds, and yet these individuals would be eligible to receive a pension, at least until 2007. And that law became the law of the land. Unfortunately, it only covers members of Congress while currently serving. We have had other instances, and other instances more recently in the state of Illinois, where we have had former members of Congress that have gone on to hold elective office and become, and I believe should be held to a higher standard by their constituents, that have violated the law and become felons, and yet they're still eligible to receive their pensions from the American taxpayer. I think this is wrong. I think that if you violate a public trust and commit a felony under the certain areas that have been expanded, that you should forfeit that pension. Right now, we're talking about not a big sum of money. It's about $800,000 a year that, if this law were to have been enacted, would not have to be paid out to former members of Congress. I think this is a common sense piece of legislation, one that should pass the House by 435 votes and pass the Senate unanimously. We continually hear about how Congress is passing laws that are not holding themselves up to that law first and foremost. And I hear that back in my district regularly, and I'm confident that most of you do as well. We need to be held, I think, to a higher standard. And if we violate that public trust, we should absolutely have skin in the game to say we will not be able to receive taxpayer-funded pensions for the remainder of our lives. Now, I recognize that there's some misconceptions about what the pensions are out there for members of Congress, that you invest in 5 years and then it's 1.7%. So it's not a huge sum of money. But what it does do is it lets the American public know that we indeed in this body will hold ourselves to a higher standard. This is an expansion of the already existing Honest Leadership and Open Government Act. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's one that I think that we should act on actually immediately, and I don't want to belabor the point. So I'm happy to answer your questions, and thank you again for the opportunity to join you.